Welcome, my name is John, and the title of this video is Always Be Smoking. And you're probably thinking that's a pretty weird title, and I agree, it's a pretty weird title. In this video, you're going to learn what it is. At the end, I'm going to have a couple things for you to do that I think you're going to find helpful. So let's get started. When I'm working with someone one-on-one, of course, I ask them a bunch of questions to get to know them and to get to know how much they're smoking. One of the first questions that I ask them is, how long after you get up until you smoke your first cigarette? And for a lot of people, that time is measured in minutes. So a usual time that I would see would probably be 5 minutes. Some people, it's 10 minutes. Occasionally, I'll have someone 20 minutes. Some people will be an hour. But for the most part, for a lot of people that are coming to see me, it's usually within the first 30 minutes. And so that's one question that I ask them. The next question I ask them is, how many years have you been smoking? And I frame that one in years because rarely people come see me that have been smoking a few months. It's almost always in years. And some of the values that I get are 5 years, 10 years. If the person's an older person, oftentimes it'll be 20 or 30 years. So those are what people are telling me about how long they've been smoking. The next question I'll ask them is, how many cigarettes do you smoke in a day? And most people know this value. The reason is because cigarettes are packaged, at least in the United States, in a pack. And people know at the end of the day how many are missing from the pack that typically they started at the beginning of the day. So some of the values that we usually get, it's pretty common to get about 20 cigarettes a day because that's a standard American pack. Other values that I do get is, for some people, they're smoking more than that, so it might be 30 cigarettes a day. And for some people, it might be even more than that. Occasionally, I'll get someone in that's smoking half pack a day or about 10 cigarettes, but most people seem to be coming in with about 20 cigarettes per day with me. Another question that I ask them is, what things cause you to smoke? And then typically on the form, I'll have a bunch of boxes that they can check. The things that I have listed on the form to select from are the following: stress, phone use, alcohol, coffee, sex, boredom or meals, family members, crisis event, depression, anxiety, driving, cannabis use, boredom, relaxing, cravings, being around other smokers, studying, working, socializing, when taking breaks, and of course there's also an other blank where they can write all the other things that trigger them to smoke. So what's your assessment of this person? What are your thoughts about it? Are you thinking, wow, they wake up in the morning and one of the first things, if not the first thing that they do, is they smoke a cigarette? You may have done some quick math in your head. You might be thinking, well, there's 24 hours in a day. The person has to sleep, so they're probably awake for 16 hours, maybe 18 hours at the most. If they're smoking a pack a day, that means at least once an hour, in fact, more frequently than once an hour, they're smoking a cigarette. So throughout the day, that's what their smoking pattern looks like. The next thing that you might be thinking is, wow, this person has smoked for quite a while. They've smoked for multiple years. Some people, they smoke for decades. And the last thing that you're probably thinking is, that's a lot of things that the person potentially gets triggered by. And usually when someone comes in, they check at least half of those boxes. Some of them check nearly 90%. I have had people that have checked just about every box, which means everything that they do during the day is somehow associated with or triggered by just normally being a human being. The normal things that we do trigger people to smoke. So taken all together, I think you'd probably agree that this person is living an always be smoking lifestyle, and they probably have an always be smoking mindset. Does everybody smoke like this? No. I do want you to know that if you just started smoking or you've only been smoking for a few years, that the normal progression of this is that you're going to end up smoking like some of the people that I described above. So I'm going to throw this one out to our community out there. Let's do this. If you have smoked for 20 or 30 or 40 years, I would love for you to address this in the comments. And what would be helpful is for you to answer the following question. If you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self something about smoking, what would it be? Go down to the comments, and if you could throw that in there, I would be interested to hear that. Another thing that I want to throw out there is even if you are early in your smoking career and you're not even smoking that much, there's a good chance that you're currently holding an always be smoking mindset. How is it that someone will smoke 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 30 years and still be smoking? And oftentimes I think the answer lies with hundreds of things. Yes, there are hundreds of factors that keep a person smoking. And a lot of those things I'm going to talk about in future videos on this channel. One thing that I think is key is when we look at their quitting attempts and their past quitting attempts, they are few and far between. For some people, if they're lucky, it's every couple years, but for most people, there are long periods of time that go between them. So let's talk about you. It's time for a little honesty time. Does this resonate with you? Do you feel like this is striking a chord? If so, I'd like to hear about it down in the comments. That lets me know that I'm making content that you find helpful. And it also gives you something to think about. And that's the whole thing that we're going to do in the rest of this video. So I'm going to now address the question, why is it or how is it that someone can get 5, 10, 20 years of smoking under their belt and what we can do about it to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. One of the things that you've got to do if you're going to change the outcome of this is to convert from an always be smoking mindset, which we talked about, that's what the person has, into an always be quitting mindset. You might be sitting there thinking, John, I'm not ready to quit yet. And that's okay. You don't have to be ready to quit yet. But you do have a choice to make. And like most things, if you don't make a choice, the choice will be made for you. So let's talk about those two choices. The first choice is you can continue to smoke and have an always be smoking mindset. Or you can choose to smoke currently, but start adopting an always be quitting mindset. Let's say that you're going to stick with the default choice or the first choice or what you're currently probably doing, which is smoking and having an always be smoking mindset. That is going to lead you to 10 years or 15 years or 20 years more of smoking. How do I know that? I know that because when I look at someone's quitting history, a lot of times they will have maybe made one legitimate quitting attempt in 5 years. So let's say that we've got a person, they think, oh, I'm going to make a quitting attempt. They make a quitting attempt. They may not be well prepared, or for any myriad of reasons, they may not be successful. What happens is because they've got an always be smoking mindset, they fail. I'm going to put that in air quotes because I think that's important and I'm going to address that in another video. They don't quit that time. So let's say that 5 years have passed. They fail and then they stop quitting. Then 5 more years go by and they think, oh, I've got to do this again. And 10 total years have gone by, an entire decade, and they've quit one time. And what's keeping them from quitting is that mindset of always be smoking. Or you can choose right now to say, okay, I'm not ready to quit right now, but I'm going to choose an always be quitting mindset. Or you are ready to quit right now and you choose an always be quitting mindset. Both of those, number one, propel you toward the likelihood of making a quitting attempt, or if you make a quitting attempt that is not successful this time, it keeps you coming back quicker. And I cannot emphasize, if you don't do that, that is going to put 5, 10, 15, 20 years more of smoking under your belt. And I know you're probably thinking, this guy sounds like a broken record. It's so important, that mindset shift, that I'm willing to sound like a broken record here. So let's explore this a little further about what you can do about it currently. All right, I've got a couple things that you can do already. The first one is get on the Always Be Quitting interest and announcement list. You can do that by going down into the description below this video and clicking on a link to our website. It will take you to a form where you can get on that list. And if you want to know more about what the Always Be Quitting mindset is, go up and watch this video here. It's called Always Be Quitting, and it talks all about it. And you might be thinking, John, I already watched that video. And you know what I'm going to say? Go watch it again. It's that important. Make sure that you really understand and are starting to think about those concepts. While we're on the topics of watching videos, I think that you should watch the future videos that we release on this channel. And one great way to do that is subscribe to the channel. So go down to the bottom of this video, hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified every time we release a new video, which I think you probably want to be, if you click the little bell icon down there, you will get notified when we release a new video. Congratulations on making it to this point in the video. That tells me something about you, and it should tell you something about you. Good job. At any moment, you could have clicked and watched some other video, but you didn't. Now, I think that you probably have a few things to think about, and you've got a few things to do. So let's get those things done. A couple things I want you to remember. Always be quitting until you've quit for the last time. My name's John. Here's a video for you to watch, and I'll see you in future videos. Thanks.